All right, so in this video, we are going to talk about time signatures. So time signatures are always written at the beginning of a piece of music. And now a time signature has two numbers. Now, a lot of people think this looks like a fraction, but it's not a fraction. The top number means something and the bottom number means something. And then usually when you're reading, the right and the left hand will have the same time signature. So let's take a look at what these numbers mean. We're going to look at an example in 4/4 time, and we're also going to look at an example in 6/8 time. So let's first start with the 4/4 time. So whenever you're reading music, the top number of the time signature will always tell you how many beats will be in each measure of music. Music is grouped together in what we call measures or bars. And now it's always going to have a certain number of beats per measure. This is a very common time signature, 4 beats per measure. So we will jump into exactly what that means. So the top number tells you how many beats are in a measure. So in this example, there's 4 beats in a measure. In this example, there's going to be 6 beats in a measure. So the top number will tell you how many beats are in each measure of music. The bottom number is going to tell you which type of note is equal to 1 beat. So the bottom number is giving you the value of these different notes. So let's start with this one. So when we have a 4 on the bottom, what that is telling you is that quarter notes, which are the ones that look like this, colored in with a line coming up, and it could also have a line coming down like this one here. This is a quarter note. These are all quarter notes. Quarter notes, right, colored in with a line coming up or colored in with a line coming down. Don't worry about whether the line is on the left side coming down or the right side coming up. It means the same thing. When there's a 4 on the bottom, these get a value of 1. So quarter notes are going to equal 1 beat. That's what the 4 on the bottom tells you. Now, the other values we have to know are half notes, which are the non-colored in circles. Once again, the stem could be on the left side coming down or right side coming up, are going to equal 2 beats. These are called half notes. When we have a dot on the right side of a half note, this is telling you they will equal 3 beats. Or if there's a dot next to your quarter note, I'm just going to put it right here, a dotted quarter note will equal 1.5 beats. Eighth notes, which look like this when they're by themselves, or a lot of times we see them beamed together, these are 2 eighth notes here, a single eighth note is worth half of 1 beat. So these are your values, right? Including this one as well. And a whole note, sorry, we'll add one more. Just the oval, like these ones, are equal to 4 beats. So these are all your note values whenever there is a 4 on the bottom. That is what the number on the bottom is telling you. These are your values. Okay? So now, when we look at another example, actually before we jump into that example, let's just kind of see how this would take place. So we need 4 beats in a measure, and these are our values. So let's see if the right hand is doing it. Here we have 2 beats because this is a half note. This is taking up 1.5 beats. So we get 2 beats for the first note plus 1.5 beats for this note. And then this is taking up half of a beat. So 2 plus 1.5 plus a half. 2 plus 1.5 is 3.5 plus another half is equal to 4. So right here, these 3 notes are totaling up to 4. Because the top number tells us 4 beats in a measure. And on the bottom, we have whole notes, and those equal 4 because they're all being played at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're holding out for all 4. So our bottom, our left hand is taking up 4 beats, and our right hand is taking up 4 beats. And that is one measure of music, and then we get the line. Let's check the next measure. Here we have a dotted half note. Well, those are equal to 3. And this is a quarter note, so this is equal to 1. 3 plus 1 equals 4. So that's taking up 4 beats. And in the left hand, once again, we just have our whole note, which equals 4 beats. So that's taking up 4. And then the end of the measure. Half notes taking up 2. Other half notes taking up 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4. So that's taking up 4 beats that way. So that is what the time signature is telling you. The top number tells you how many beats will be in each measure of music. The right hand will take up 4 beats. The left hand will take up 4 beats in its own way, but they will play together. And the bottom number tells you what is the value of these symbols. So this will make more sense as we now jump in to this next example. 6/8 time. So once again, these are not fractions. The top number is still telling you how many beats in a measure. So in this case, we will always have 6 beats per measure of music. Now the bottom number is 8. So if the first example was a 4, now it's an 8. Well, 8 is twice as much as 4. So what that's telling us is all these values that we had are now going to double. So what we originally had was an eighth note equaling half a beat. Well, now it's going to be worth double that. Now it's going to equal 1 beat. A quarter note was equal to 1 beat. Well, now because there's an 8 on the bottom, a quarter note will now equal 2 beats. A dotted quarter note was equal to 1.5 beats. So now 1.5 times 2, it will be worth 3 beats. A half note was equal to 2 beats. Now, because there's an 8 on the bottom, it'll equal 4, and so on. A dotted half note was equal to 3, but now because there's an 8 on the bottom, it will equal 6. So the 8 is telling you now that an eighth note is equal to 1 beat. And in this case, we will have a 6 on the top. So we're going to have 6 beats in a measure. And now, because of the 8 on the bottom, these are our new note values because of the 8 on the bottom. So as we talked about, the bottom number of the time signature will tell you which type of note equals 1 beat. So an 8 on the bottom means an eighth note equals 1 beat. So all the other values double. A 4 on the bottom means a quarter note gets 1 beat. So I like to look at these as like your standard values. And then whenever the number on the number on bottom changes, if it's double it, 4 times 2 is 8, all the values will now be double. And let's check if this math is correct. So here we have eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 6. There's our 6 beats in a measure. And on the bottom, we have a dotted half notes, which are equal to 6. So that's taking up 6. And that's the end of our measure. Here we get eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, 16th note, 16th note, 16th notes. Well, we didn't talk about 16th notes in the last example, but in the last example, a 16th note, which looks like an eighth note, but actually has 2 stems coming out of it, is equal to 0.25. It's equal to 1/4 of a beat, which is only true when there's a 4 on the bottom. So when there's an 8 on the bottom, a 16th note will now be worth half of a beat, because our values will always double when the number on bottom doubles. So now it's worth half of a beat. So let's do some more math. We have an eighth note, that's equal 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, and then plus half, 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 and half. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6. And there's all 6 of our beats. So that is what a time signature is. I'm just kind of showing you time signature. I'll play the right hand, just this example here, the first 2 measures, so we can kind of hear how this would go. Now, when we're counting 6 beats in a measure, whenever there's an 8 on the bottom, we don't want to think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We like to think of our 6/8 time as having 2 groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. We have 2 groups of 3 beats. That's how we count our 6/8 time. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Like that. So let me quickly play this morning mood example here. Just the right hand is going to go right here. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, and 3, and. So I didn't really get into beat counting. I've done that in other videos, but I did want to explain just here what a time signature is. So I hope you found this video helpful. Once again, the main thing you have to remember, the number on top will always tell you how many beats are in each measure of music. The number on bottom tells you what type of note is equal to 1 and what the other values will be. So like I said, I like to look at the bottom number when it's a 4 as our standard values. Quarter note 1, half note 2, dotted half note 3, whole note 4, eighth note half, 16th note 0.25. And when there's an 8 on the bottom, all those will double. So now eighth note is equal to 1, quarter note's equal to 2, dotted quarter note equal to 3, and so on. So hope you found this lesson helpful. If you have any other questions about time signatures or anything else, let me know. There are other time signatures you can have. This bottom number could be a 2, it could be a 4, it could be an 8, or it can be a 16. And just use our rules that we kind of talked about. So if there was a 2 on the bottom instead of a 4, you would actually cut all these numbers in half. So a quarter note would then be equal to half of a beat, a half note to 1, and so on. If there was a 16 on the bottom, now our 16th note would be worth 1, these would be worth 2, 4, and so on. That gets a little bit more complex, so just focus on these 2 type of time signatures for now. That is all for this lesson. Hope you enjoyed. Drop any comments below if you have questions or other tutorial or lesson requests.